big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity with me, Sonali Krishna. Now, last week, we saw an ad that warmed our hearts and took most of us back to the 90s. That's correct. I'm talking about the latest Cadbury commercial that recreated that iconic cricket field ad, but this time with a woman cricketer who gets cheered on by her boyfriend. For the uninitiated, let's play out that iconic Cadbury's 90s ad where a woman is seen cheering her partner while he plays cricket and hits a six.
कुछ खास है हम सभी में, कुछ बात है हम सभी में, बात है खास है, कुछ स्वाद है, क्या स्वाद है जिंदगी में।
Cadbury's Dairy Milk, असली स्वाद जिंदगी का.
Now cut to 2021, and to the surprise of many, Cadbury hit it out of the stadium yet again with this recreation, with the only difference being a gender swap, timing it just as the Indian women's cricket team tours Australia. Let's take a look at this very endearing recreation.
कुछ खास है हम सभी में, कुछ बात है हम सभी में, बात है खास है, कुछ स्वाद है, क्या स्वाद है जिंदगी में।
Cadbury's Dairy Milk.
Wasn't that lovely? Well, joining us today to talk about this recreation is Anil Viswanathan, Senior Director, Marketing, Mondelez India Kainaz Karmakar, Chief Creative Officer, Ogilvy. Thank you so much, Anil and Kainaz. First off, many, many congratulations. You must have had a spectacular week and weekend with the kind of response one has seen. The ad has traveled far and wide, and the amount of compliments that have been pouring in over the weekend has been insane. Did you, before I start into, how this was conceptualized, did you ever expect, during the entire journey of actually making this campaign, that this would be such a blockbuster?
Maybe I can go first and say that, Sonali, no. I mean, we did anticipate that it will create a lot of interest. We were picking on something that has been an icon, that's been very popular favorite in people's minds. So we were conscious that anything that we do with it is going to spark conversation, but the kind of positivity and the kind of energy and the nature of engagement that we are seeing was not something that we had anticipated.
And you, Kainaz?
What was very interesting for me, and I really had my fingers crossed, was because whenever we presented the idea, like when the idea was presented to us or when we presented it to Anil, it got approved in like less than 30 seconds. So we took the idea to Anil, and when we told him, he said, yeah, let's do it. So it got approved in less than 30 seconds. So that gave me a lot of confidence that if hearing the idea is giving so much joy to people, when it's made, I hope it'll give the same joy to people. But Anil is absolutely right. We had no idea that, it's going to be this kind of a blockbuster.
Now let's go back to the drawing board and when this idea or this thought, was actually presented to you. So take me back through that timeline.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, Sonali, I'd like to say that I'm here on behalf of a huge team that has worked on this idea from Ogilvy, starting with my partners, Sukesh and Harshad, and also the three girls, Tanuja, Swagata, and Samyu. This is connected to your question. So Samyu and Swagata are a team. They work with Tanuja, and they actually came up with this idea. And they sent it to their boss. And the mail that they wrote to their boss was, sorry, in all the craziness of work, we got this idea. And what do you think of it? And Tanuja replied to them saying, stay crazy within 5 minutes. And then she sent WhatsApp the idea to us, and we loved it. The three of us got together and we talked to Piyush, And Piyush thought about it and then said, see, I'm not a great fan of sequels, but I absolutely love this. This has to be done. Then we quickly called up Anil, I think just a day later. And Anil's response, like I mentioned earlier, was completely instinctive. It was from the gut. I think Anil's team also responded in the same way. When we took the idea to Bob, who's a director, Bob loved it at one go. So I think it was, I think it was meant to be. The stars aligned.
So just to understand, Anil, did you give a brief to Ogilvy? Were you working on a particular ad, or this just came out of the blue?
I think this came out of the blue, Sonali. They weren't working on a brief. But then to qualify further that, our relationship with Ogilvy is such that typically, especially on big brands like Dairy Milk, we are on a constant conversation and there's constant idea exchange that happens. We have a platform of generosity that we've been driving for Cadbury Dairy Milk. And quite often we have seen, ideas emerge, and not necessarily all of them are TV ideas. Some of them are innovation ideas, some of them are activation ideas. So we've seen the constant flow of ideas, and as and when they come, we listen to it and we decide. And thankfully we have a calendar, so we have a lot of opportunities to identify when to do what. So we're always open to ideas. So hence it's kind of an organic process, and hence there was no brief. As Kainaz said, in fact, it's a team that's not working on the brand who got this idea.
Yeah.
But having said that, I'm curious to understand, once the idea, let's say, was, it got a double tick from all stakeholders, internal and of course, Mondelez. While you were creating the ad to recreate such an iconic ad, and most remakes, recreations, and as Piyush said, sequels don't ever match up to the original. There must have been a lot of nervousness because a lot of it, on paper, it looks fantastic, but the end result may not be as fantastic. Was there a lot of nervous energy while making this?
There was, but it was a good nervousness. So very early in the process, Piyush told us that, I know you're recreating the ad, but there is no reason to feel the pressure. Enjoy the recreation. And there was a process in place, in the sense that Harshad, Sukesh and I, the three of us, were in constant touch with Piyush, who's the original man who made the original ad. And at the director's end, Bob was in constant touch with Mahesh Mathai, who's the original creator. So ideas were being bounced, at both ends. So there was nervous energy, but I think we had some terrific guidance.
What was the kind of thinking behind the casting? Because you had a Sardarji boy, and you, of course, I can understand the woman cricketer, but so some have talked about it as embracing diversity. I'm not sure what was your actual thought process behind it.
Yeah. So we started auditioning. First, we started auditioning for the girl to find the girl cricketer. And the one difference, I think, between last time and this time is that the girl that we've chosen, we wanted her to look more like a real girl who plays cricket. So if you see her, like she's very pretty, but she's also got this sporty thing about her. So we have chosen her for that reason. And the guy, oh my God, we went through so many rounds trying to choose the guy, because he had to follow the original dance. So he had a really, really tough act to follow. And we were, scratching our heads, figuring out who to cast. And then Tanuja, one of the three girls on the team, she said that, who dances, better than Sardars? They dance so beautifully. So why not we, choose one of them? And we cast this guy. Then we took him to Anil. Anil liked him. At the last moment, Bob had another guy also who he liked equally. And then we took both those guys to Anil, and credit to you also, Anil, because I think you said, I like the first guy a little more. He has more innocence. He's more spontaneous. And that's how we all zeroed in on this guy. Now,
for instance, for you, me, Kainaz, all of it, it's walking back in time, and it's sheer nostalgia, and it really, warms your heart to see this recreation. But were you for a moment ever concerned that, Gen Z may not have been, exposed to this ad, may not have known what an iconic ad this was, and hence the correlation, would have been a little tough?
I think in its current execution, it still is a wonderful creative that consumers will love to see. So even a 13-year-old, like my 13-year-old daughter, when I showed it to her, she smiled and she liked it. I think we were sure that this creative in its pristine avatar for a Gen Zer also would be very, very topical, very enjoyable.
What were the key challenges you faced while executing the ad to ensure that the same theme is maintained?
I think the biggest challenge was how to keep it natural. See, because recreation, I mean, for a director is should be very easy, right? He doesn't even have to make a storyboard. The storyboard is the previous ad. What was beautiful about it is how do you make it as enjoyable, as natural, as beautiful, as spontaneous as it was before. And I think that was the reason to go to Bob. And I think Bob has done a brilliant job of it.
Speaking from our side, Sonali, I think the challenge was to not interfere. Because instantly we had lots of ideas, right? And then we heard and said so many possibilities, there are infinite possibilities to take the story. And since we are giving it a modern twist, why not twist something else also, etc., etc. And I think that was the challenge for us to say, okay, we want to keep it. The original was a success for a reason, and the team was very clear that this is the way we want to execute it, and we said, fair enough, we'll go with what the team believes.
Kenas, from a creative standpoint, given that this has now been a successful venture, do you think we'll start seeing a lot of recreations of yesteryear iconic ads?
Well, I hope it happens, but I don't think, because I don't think brands like to be the second people to do things. So I don't think it'll happen, but there are a lot of memes doing rounds, which are very, very funny. And we have been laughing and enjoying them. But honestly, it would be wonderful. We take it as a compliment.
So key takeaways for both of you from a marketer's perspective and from a creative perspective on doing this?
I think from a creative perspective, I think our sort of motto remains the same. Go for greatness, and you will not succeed 100% of the time, but when you do, it'll be absolutely awesome, and go with the gut. Piyush has taught us that time and again, and I have seen that with across my clients. All of them who go with the gut, usually more often than not, we end up with something amazing.
Anil?
And my takeaway, Sonali, is that support the fearless. Have that butterfly in your stomach when you put out something, because then that you're not putting something which is wallpaper. Definitely, there is a definite risk out there, but the reward is equally inspiring. And that's what is the takeaway. The lesser we overthink, I think the better we get at it.
Well, kudos to both Ogilvy and Mondelez for keeping this relationship going that has been on for so many years, having the confidence in your creative to give them a free hand if they have belief, and truly representative of where an agency can actually be a brand owner and feel ownership to it, which we're seeing less and less as times become more competitive and platforms become more competitive. So again, many congratulations to both of you, not only for the campaign, but for this blossoming relationship that we have seen now for decades. Well, on that note, we're taking a quick break, but stay with us. As coming up on the other side, we have a candid chat with the new Ad Club president, Partha Sinha, on how he looks to rejuvenate the entire advertising ecosystem as the captain of the Ad Club, and how he plans to make it more relevant in days to come.